All right, good evening, everyone. Time is 6:30. It's April 12th, 2022. It's the Abington Conservation Commission meeting. First item on the agenda is request for extension to the order of conditions located at 10 McHugh Circle, SE 084-518. Do we have anything on that? For 10 McHugh Circle?
Sorry, that wasn't smooth.
Okay. So the last meeting, part of the correspondence was a superseding order of condition for 10 McHugh Circle, but that's separate from this project. I don't know why the address is the same.
Oh, really?
But Tony, you followed up on it today. What'd you find out?
They're different cases. They have different SE numbers.
So is one for the road and one for the house? Is that what this is about? That sounds like what it is, but, you know, a lot of times they'll do like the subdivision, will have one, and then each house that is within the wetlands, and they decide to build it with the wetlands.
Yeah, this one says it's for the road installation.
The other one was for the house lot.
Yeah. Yeah, because I believe there was an issue with drainage from one property going to the abutter's property. Was the reason for the superseding order on that file number.
Right, normally when we have a subdivision, the whole subdivision gets permitted with the stormwater, and then each individual lot will follow. The other is the because, you know, people want porches and pools and stuff, so each individual lot will put in the numbers of the 10. So it makes sense.
All right. Any other questions from the board? Anybody from the public have any questions? Bring it back to the board. Would somebody like to make a motion?
Motion to extend it 2 years from June 2024 to till.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. That one's yours, right? All right, next on the agenda is to issue the order of conditions for Central Street Bridge. Do you guys mind if we push that to the end of the meeting so we don't have to let everybody wait for us to do that?
That's fine.
No problem. All right. Next on the agenda is SE 084-0549, continued hearing, notice of intent filed by Rick Montgomery to construct a single-family dwelling, construction including driveway, grading, landscaping, and utilities within the 100-foot buffer zone at 75 Dale Street. We received an email today to continue this. They want to continue to the next meeting, which will be on April 26th. So I want to make a motion to continue.
Make a motion, we continue till the next meeting?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, next on the agenda is SE 084-0552, continued hearing for abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, filed by Eduardo de Oliveira, located at 44-54 Linwood Street. Has anybody been out to visit the site? I know I went out last Sunday and Alex went out as well.
My understanding was at the last meeting that Mr. Garvey was actually gonna set up a walk with us.
Yeah, and it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. But did he request a continuance?
He's on his way down, I'm with Wetland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Garvin's way down right now. And I guess someone's,
Can you just get up to the podium and state your name and address, please?
Eduardo De Oliveira, 44 Linwood Street. So I spoke with Garvey today, and I guess someone talked to him about walk over there and look out the land. And so he wasn't sure if you guys went there or not. Have you guys been there? Really? And he was under the impression that one of you guys was gonna make the...
Two of us went out there, but we can't all go out as a board. It'd be an open meeting law violation. So we'd have to set up an official meeting.
Someone
post it.
emailed him, was saying that someone was gonna go there and walk through the lot. He said that was okay,
Yep,
right?
but if all the other commissioners want to go out there, we'd have to post something so that we're not in violation of any sort of
Okay.
open
I mean,
meeting
you
law.
guys got my okay, so how you guys wanna handle that?
You want to set up a meeting right now?
Yes? When you guys wanna do it? When you guys wanna go do the walkthrough?
I know the middle of the week's rainy. I mean, do you want to set something up for Saturday or yeah, yeah, 48 hours notice, so. Yeah, actually, this weekend's probably tough where it's Easter.
Yeah, 'cause the Easter, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe the following Saturday? Or during the week?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, during the week is fine.
oh,
Oh.
Carl's here now.
There you go.
Stays lighter out, too.
I have to wait until after 5.
He's killing time for you. He's killing time for you.
I was ready for you.
Walk the property?
Yeah, hold on.
What would you say, Paul?
We're probably out there for about 45 minutes.
To an hour, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's,
Lynn was suggesting if we do it during the week.
yeah, that's, I mean, the same thing, like, I mean, Alex and I have already been out there, so you can work around our schedule. I mean, I'm happy with what I saw.
What's the weather looking like for the rest of the week?
Well, you got, like, we have to, at least 3 days from now, so we're not,
Friday would be the first.
Good Friday's not probably a good day to do it either.
So sometime next week.
Oh, next Friday, yeah.
Monday is part, we won't be here.
Monday's Patriots Day.
I want to post it this week so that it wouldn't get affected by the, because if I post it on a Friday, it won't come until Wednesday. So we're not posting it tomorrow, but that's what I was gonna do.
Yeah, right now, it looks like Tuesday's the only day where they show rain next week.
So I guess they went there, but they wanna go there with you.
I ended up going over with Paul, so.
I'm pretty flexible, so.
Rich and Russ, do you have anything, any day?
We'll just go out on one day, anyway. He's letting us go, so I'll go by myself and look, so.
Tuesday is probably the best day I can go as a group.
Tuesday is a rainy day. You want to go?
It's either that or Friday, for me anyways.
It's fine.
So week from Friday?
5 o'clock?
5 o'clock, week from Friday?
So that's gonna be on the 22nd?
Yep.
Okay for you to walk through on the 22nd? All right, so what time?
5 o'clock?
I think we need to make a motion to continue.
You want to continue to the 26th of April then?
Yes. For the next one? Yes.
Yeah, we'll continue to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I have other meetings.
Somebody want to make a motion
I'll make a motion.
to,
I'll make a motion to continue SE 084-0552. Continue to their April 26th meeting, correct?
do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Next on the,
Yeah, I'll talk to you.
next on the agenda, SE 084-0553, continued hearing notice of intent filed by Daniel Mento of Mento Corp. for the construction of duplex structure, utilities and parking area at 154 Brockton Ave.
Paul, before we continue, I just want to publicly disclose that Mr. Garvey and myself are going to be working on a project in the future. I have filed the paperwork with the clerk. There's no financial interest for us in this project or any matter with Mr. Garvey, and I feel I can do my duties objectively and fairly tonight.
Okay, thanks for disclosing that. Huh?
Oh, my throat.
Want to do mine? Huh? No, just spacing.
Tony, were you able to get the list that you sent out? I emailed you about it this morning, do you have it available today?
Yeah, I'll send it right now. Sorry.
That's okay. Oh, look who has it. Mr. Garvey has it. Thank you, Mr. Garvey. Kathy's gonna make some copies, and I'm gonna go pull up mine that I have.
Floor is yours.
Oh,
You want to wait, for Kathy to come back, or?
I'm gonna make some copies.
I guess you're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, I had that on my list of things to fix. I didn't.
Voting all the way over there now. Sorry.
Sign away?
No.
All right.
Screws up my plan.
Does that sound go? Oh, that's gonna be you.
So you'll be the senior man now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
All right.
evening, board members. Cal Gabby representing Mento Corp. Since our last meeting, we have done some revisions to the plan. The initial plan that was in front of the board was the proposed location of a building that was within the buffer zone. Since that time, we went out and we've located the existing erosion control area. And you would all have a copy of that in your little packet. There's a colored thing in there, just, it's this, but it's reduced.
Yep.
It should be.
I think it's the last page.
Yeah, you've got it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. The erosion control barrier is the existing barrier that's out there. The existing green shaded area here is the area that was undisturbed during the original foundation excavation. This area within here, somewhat egg-shaped, is the area within the riverfront zone that was disturbed. We're proposing another erosion control barrier basically in front of that area that was disturbed. The existing driveway that is on the property, other than the little feeder strip that went to the garage, which was removed, will stay in place. We're not adding to the driveway. The proposed dwelling is outside the 100-foot buffer zone. We do have some grading coming down from that at a 5-to-1 slope into the 100-foot buffer zone, approximately probably 80 feet away from the resource area. The replication report was done by Pinebrook Consulting, and you all have one, so I'm sure you may have already read it, but she discusses the riverfront zone, the restoration, the plantings, the schedule for follow-up action, in the plants that are to be planted within this particular area. I know there were other questions that I did answer as far as the stream itself varies in elevation from on our property from 110.2 to 109.3, where it abuts the Kelly property. So it's sloping at 1.6%. The stream itself is roughly 4 feet wide. The top of the bank is probably 8 foot from bank to bank, which was used to set the 100 and 200 foot riverfront zones. Riverfront zones are perpendicular from the end of the pipe to the property line, which is at 90 degrees to that location. Took spot shots along the center line of the stream, and we offset that 4 feet for the bank on each side, and then 100 and 200 feet from that. The area within the buffer zone behind that is just to be loamed and seeded and grassed where the previous garage location was, and also, well, outside the buffer zone, obviously in front of the dwelling, between the front of the house and Brockton Ave and the abutter to the east. I guess that gives you a fairly good idea of what we're proposing, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
All right, open it up to the board.
The list that, in front of you was my list before the last meeting. I think, it wasn't the list after the last meeting. So there are a couple of things that I don't see on here. I'm sorry, Carl, I don't have them. But
Is it the same list I have? Or do you have a different list?
I'm comfortable with this.
Oh,
Just right
because
now.
for
I
that-
know, you didn't, I'm not sure if you got it or not.
After the last meeting, I requested that I get the list, and it took 4 or 5 days for Tony to give me the list of the comments
Okay, yeah.
that I assumed you
These were
were.
from before the last meeting.
Oh, okay,
Sorry. Maybe I sent it around file, I apologize. But the one thing that we did talk about was the wetlands delineation, and I think we had a conversation that we weren't comfortable because there'd been some disturbance there, and that we wanted some more data from your biologist about the like soil cores or something to give us a little more confidence because we never saw the delineation. And it was done after the disturbance, so we really aren't quite sure where, she has a line, so we know there's wetlands, but the DEW, we just wanted a better definition of those.
I believe that was
Well-
on the list that I was going to tell you as well.
But, yeah, and she actually does address that in her report, that she says there was, as evidence, there was no disturbance within 20 to 40 feet of the stream. So this is natural. Here's the flag line. I mean, unless you're saying there was upland, then there was wetlands in here, I don't understand why you would be questioning that line.
One of the things that I submitted was I wanted very specific things from the Massachusetts Inland Wetland Replication Guidelines. And there were a number of things that were missing that I wanted to see that are not in this plan. And I had suggested very specific parts of these replication guidelines to be included, and they were not.
They were never given to my office.
Right, so that's something that we can send over to you. There's a lot of, this replication plan is lacking.
I think Pine Brook Consulting.
Restoration.
Brooke Monroe has probably over 30 years of experience in wetlands. She was employed by DEP for approximately 10 years. She's been the conservation agent in the town of Cotter since 2015. She was the agent in the town of Canton. She's worked also for the towns of Bridgewater and Rehoboth. And she's very qualified. She said what has to be done in that area, and this report we stand by. And I think this project has gone on quite long enough.
Well, with all
And
due
I asked for
respect,
any information that would possibly be needed for this meeting, and here it is, a month later, and I still don't have it.
Lynn, what specifically are you looking for? Is it something that if we vote tonight to approve, we could add it to the order of conditions, or?
no, there's a lot of things that I want to see, such as how are they going to bring the soils from off-site? They need to have, I mean, I've got a whole list of stuff that I wanted to see that are in the regulations and the guidelines that are missing. There's, let me go through this. There's no, you're supposed to have a detailed schedule for the collection, stockpiling, and placement of the soils, a description of how prior to the placement of the soils, the excavation is appropriate, it has subgrade elevations will be completed. If its soils are brought off-site, it should include detailed descriptions of the composition of the materials. The method, she just mentioned the method that's used to ensure appropriate compaction levels. Let's see, there's a whole bunch of other stuff, but you know, what's going to happen before you translocate the soil, what's going to happen before and after the first month of the growing season. There's a lot of stuff that's missing. And one major thing I have an issue with is that there are no trees that are going to be placed here. We have shrubs and herbaceous, kind of like ground cover.
Right.
And I don't understand why there's just
If you look at the picture that was
shrubs.
included, you will not see any trees because there were no trees there. But getting back to that, prior to the planting and seeding, all debris will be removed. The surface soils will be rototilled to provide an adequate substrate for the planting and grading to an elevation compatible with the site. If deemed necessary, existing soils will be amended with soils consisting of an organic mineral mix to support healthy planting. The following shrub species which were selected because they are not only contiguous to the area, but will adapt to the variable conditions and more importantly add to the diversity of the existing shrub species and provides significant wildlife habitat value, food, shelter, nesting, will be planted in the restoration area. Then she goes on to say when that will be done, a schedule outlined below reflects the proposed time frame to be accomplished within the wetland buffer zone. I think it's pretty self-explanatory what has to be done.
To go along with what Lynn just said, I beg to differ with you, Mr. Garvey. There were existing trees there. I did go to Google Earth. I do have pictures of the trees that were there. So, I mean, for you to claim that there weren't any, I don't want to debate the issue.
I'm requesting that the board either approve this project as submitted or deny it tonight. I would appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Can I say something as an abutting neighbor? I've lived
Look,
behind this house.
ma'am, could you get up to the,
Name and address.
is the-
Thank you.
well, probably get right up to the microphone right here. I don't think there's a,
It's been moved so he can make his presentation.
state your name and address, please.
Teresa Contoy, 60 Elm Street, Abington. I have 1.85 acres that abuts on the back right side of this property. I've lived in this property for 30 years. I can assure you that the only trees that were on that property were dead, decaying, and covered in poison ivy and wild vines. That house has been unmaintained for I don't know how many years. I mean, it's hideous. It was hideous. They put a lot of work into this. They've got their new plan. They've got their new conservation report by this woman who's got the experience. I mean, this was approved last year.
Not by us.
Not by us, it wasn't.
Well, I know the guy retired the day after or resigned or whatever. My point is what's it going to take? I mean, it seems like they've gone above and beyond what they need to do. This can't just keep sitting there in this stalled process. I mean, it just can't. This needs to be approved. That's what I'm doing. It's hideous. It's just hideous.
Anybody else from the public?
There's nothing of any value in vegetation in that property. Nothing. I've been.
Ma'am, can you get back up?
Okay. I've been fighting the briars, the poison ivy, the overgrown ground cover vines. In the 30 years that I've been on my property, nothing was ever done to maintain that property. Nothing. They want to come in and want to make it nice. Let's let them do it. That's it. This is crazy.
I'm fine with letting them make
Any-
it nice, but we want to do it right.
Excuse me,
Seems to be
75 Dale Street, I'm sorry, yeah, it has been postponed.
Okay.
So next meeting, sorry. Sit here.
As you can see, the garage was also within this restoration. So I don't know how many trees could have possibly been in there because it was vacant around this garage area in the back of the house. There were no trees in that particular area that were restored, none whatsoever.
I'm in agreement with our PhD from Harvard with a biology degree, that the restoration plan is substandard and that we should have it upgraded. I mean, that's really the question. I just think it's substandard. It needs more information, and we're lucky to have somebody to be able to identify this.
And I say that the one we have is adequate, and you've had months to get that to me. Not at cut on clock tonight with him.
Paul, has the property been moved on the area within the lot that we had asked them to be moved?
Well, from the original.
From the
building
original
permit that was
project,
signed
yes,
back
yeah.
in October, November, I believe. So I believe
Yes.
that is where
Yeah, they moved it.
the existing foundation that's dug is where the old garage is, right? On the plans, can you show?
Yeah.
See it there?
Right in
There's the
here.
old dotted line, that's what they were gonna.
Yeah.
So they
Okay.
moved it.
So it was moved where we asked, okay. And as far as the loom and the soil that was removed, it wasn't actually removed, there was still a pile there that was gonna be used to backfill some of those
Yeah,
things.
you can see there was a pile here, there's a pile here, and there's a pile over here shown on the plan there.
Right, and on your plan here, you're saying in the area not altered, that's where you have a stockpile now, correct?
No, stockpile, no, you're looking at.
That's the existing stockpile?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that near?
No, here's the stockpile. Well, that's in the restoration, yeah, that's in the area of the riverfront.
Okay, so right here on the existing.
And that's sitting right on top of the natural grade. You can see that it's sitting right on top of the roots and the grass and so forth right there. That's natural grade right where that's sitting.
Okay.
Just checking out the number. So as far as trucking the soil in and things like that, it's the natural soil that was on the property as it was.
Correct.
So we've already established that we want standards for any soil brought in the event of there's any additional soil needed, correct?
I'm used to Patrick Burke. I'm
You wanna-
Patrick Burke.
Yeah, just
Patrick
get up
Burke
and
from Metro
state your
Law.
name.
This has been going on long enough. I mean, we've done plenty of business in this town for a while. We dot our i's, we cross our t's, we'll do whatever you ask. It's going on a little too long. We're all I know there's some self-employed guys up here in construction. It's time to step up and make a decision here. Time is money. We're a small company. It's time's money. We order the windows, the supplies, they're just sitting there. It's time to make this. We do our job, and we do it right. Kyle's done a heck of a job. We can't go on another month here. Now it's the building.
It's been an eyesore for the neighbors for a while now.
We're doing
Longer than since the construction started, so.
Everyone's aware of that. It was an eyesore. What we're gonna do there is gonna make the neighborhood and the town better. I mean, right now, it's before, everyone knows what was there before, So it's like,
Other than that, we've moved the house totally outside the buffer zone.
It has been an eyesore, it has been going on a long time, but it wasn't due to the fault of this board. We're trying to work with you as best as possible, all right? I mean,
I don't think it was our fault either, right? We had the building,
This is true, and I think at the very first meeting on November 9th, when you came after the stop work order issue, we said it wasn't through our fault, and we understand it wasn't through our fault.
Right,
either.
it's no one's fault. We're trying to do the best we can.
But
Kyle's
to
done it.
hastily turn it around and say, okay, we want a decision tonight, or appeal it, or reverse.
It's been 6 or 7 months. I mean, we're a small business,
It's been months.
to do it right.
But the official filing was only about a
Month ago.
So we didn't have anything to act on until a month ago. So we are.
When did you get your NOI? What was it dated?
I don't know offhand.
And again, it was a month and a half ago.
Okay, well, I'm just stating
So
that
unfortunately, because of the way the events fell, it
Yeah.
wasn't through lack of.
it's just aggravation on our part. We're trying to do the right thing,
I understand.
We're hard workers, and just to come down here every month, it's like something
That's
more and
true.
more. We're here to work with you.
I understand, but we also go by the state guidelines, and this is
I
what
realize
we're
that.
trying to do. If it wasn't identified as a perennial stream, you would have been built and nobody would have known anything about it. So what I'm saying is, we brought it to the attention, and it took action from there forward.
Okay.
We're trying to work with you, and I really don't like it when someone's speaking over me when I'm trying to talk. I give you the respect as.
I don't appreciate being spoken to in your tone as well. We're all grown adults here. I think the board has to step up. I think
Dan,
it's
you got something to say?
Make a motion here.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
I have two things to say. One, I think because of the stress, we should try to keep our attitudes and tongues in check. But the second thing is that I just purchased a home in town that was mistakenly identified as being next to a perennial stream. So I sympathize with our side as well, that we have to make sure that we do it correctly. Because there's nothing like what my neighbors and I are dealing with at this current second. So we just make sure we cross that, but let's get these guys going, because there are some self-employed people here. I sympathize, so let's try to find the calmest and fastest way to the solution. That's my 2 cents.
One other item, as far as the stream goes, this site here was built on, not that long ago, a new structure was built on it. There was a previous structure there, but the newer structure was moved closer to the stream. And at that time, there was no riverfront for that, and it's abutting, it actually almost abuts us within
Kyle, I
50
wasn't,
feet.
where are you talking? You had the plans over
75
there.
now, is
Right
what
here.
everybody's referring to.
Right here where the stream goes
Yep.
through. There was a house there. I mean, there was a notice of intent filed, copy of it, but that was actually moved closer to the stream. by at least 20 feet from where the previous house was. And there was no riverfront work done. And there was obviously a DEP file number issued, and it was issued through DEP. And they didn't have a problem with it at that time.
I can't speak for the prior board, I can only speak for myself.
Oh, I'm just saying DEP also issued it, and I think they were the ones that
DEP
would.
relies on the local boards to do their due diligence, but obviously on 75 Knoll Street, when it was torn down and rebuilt, the due diligence wasn't done.
Well, we're not talking about 75 Knoll Street, we're talking about 154 Brockton Ave.
I was just addressing.
I'd like to just ask.
Go ahead, Kathy.
It's something you can supply later, Carl, but I would really like to know the square footage that you, it's in the riverfront, the disturbed area,
thought it was-
and then the square footage of what you're actually rebuilding in. I'm
That-
sure it's.
I think it's on here.
I'd like to document that.
No, I think it's on this plan, Kathy.
2,050 square feet.
Yeah, if you, it's,
So I don't have that with me. Is it on there too?
2,050 square feet. But we're not doing any additional. We're replicating this, so,
You're replicating that, and then there's just this riverfront area that you're just.
but we're not really doing
You're
anything.
putting a grass area back there, right?
No, it's all ledge and, there's really not gonna blast that area, no.
Oh, no. Okay.
It's very sparse. If you go up there, you'll see bare ledge and some trees crawling out of
This is
it.
really for the future if somebody decides to. The rest of the order condition. Decides they want to do something.
Well, I mean, we can put conservation markers through there if you wanna do that.
Well, no, it's really more, if somebody wanted to do something in the future, we know how much disturbed area was and how much. That was all.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I do believe that
Thank you
one of
very
the
much.
items I brought up on my list was that some sort of marker so that the 200-foot buffer would be encroached upon.
And he just said he'd do that.
Okay, we may probably put that in the order of conditions.
I missed it, what was the,
Put markers at the 200-foot buffer zone, like some ground.
oh,
Yeah.
it up on Linwood Street, by Groveland Street there, yeah.
And cross it through some.
Okay. Yeah, but that's something
We
we
could put
can,
it in the order of
Yeah.
conditions. Just remember.
any other questions from the board?
Test pit, soil and houses was done to confirm ordinance that it's in the wetlands? It was not.
I would make a suggestion that we close the hearing, and then the board can still have a discussion, but maybe it's not close the hearing.
Yeah, we can close the hearing now, unless anybody else have any questions? All right,
I'd like to make a motion, we pass SE 084.
yeah. Oh, you want to make a motion to close the
Make a
hearing?
motion, we close the hearing?
Second?
Second? All those in favor?
Aye. I'd like to make a motion, we pass SE 084-0553.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
2 noes, okay. Huh? Yep.
Are you guys available to requesting some more information on the application plan and the orders of conditions? when we
Yeah, I think we should, yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be
Yeah.
a way to satisfy that, because I still think
That's what I needed.
All right, next on the agenda is SE 084-0555, abbreviated notice of resource area delineation filed by Jeff. No problem. You too. WP East Acquisitions LLC located at 0 Summer Street. Is anybody here for 0 Summer Street?
No, she's not here.
Oh, that's right, you told me. Did she ask for a continuance to the next meeting, or are we
You can vote on it and follow up with her.
on the peer review? Okay.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Gene, I'm going to hand this back to you for the peer review for 0 Summer Street.
Okay. Did everybody get a copy of them?
I emailed them.
Oh,
minute ago.
Check your email. I didn't get it.
I just emailed it.
It's really hard for us if it's like at the last minute because, you know, we're all running around working.
Looking for my copy.
So can you walk us through it? I don't know. Don't worry.
Yeah. I don't think I did. Did I bring them?
It's gonna take me 4,000 years to read this. I've already seen them, so.
No, you don't talk quietly. Bob Sebastian submitted another proposal to do the peer review. It's right here. I have it. Scope of work to be performed by Sebastian Inc. Review the notice of intent, application, review the plan of record. Is this right? Yeah. Conduct a site assessment with Conservation Commission and representatives of the applicant. Prepare a formal letter of findings for the Abington Conservation Commission. Attend a conservation meeting. I believe that was it. It was pretty bad. The estimated
And how much is he charging?
The estimated cost could be anywhere from $2,800 to $3,000. Any additional work beyond the scope of work can be billed hourly at $200 an hour.
All for that new Baker.
And that was for 0 Summer Street. And then I have a second one from LEC. LEC Environmental Consultants, Inc. They're pleased to submit a proposal to provide the peer review for service associated with the abbreviated Notice of Resource Area Delineation application filed for the above referenced site in Abington. The proposal is based on a review of the ANRAD site plans and constitutes an agreement for services. Scope of services will be LEC will conduct a site evaluation to review the delineated wetland resource area boundaries at the above referenced site. Wetland boundary review will be based on the criteria enumerated in the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and its implementing regulations, 310 CMR. More specifically, the review will be performed in accordance with the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, I mean, it just says LEC will review the entire site and surrounding areas for additional wetland resource areas that have not been identified that may have affected future development of the property. LEC will prepare a peer review report summarizing our findings. LEC will attend one on-site meeting with the applicant's consultant to review our findings. Additional services are requested by the Commission for a wildlife habitat study that will be billed out as needed. LEC has prepared the estimated budget of $2,800 for the services described. They're very close, they're right on.
That's what made me laugh.
Yeah.
That's about the
So,
same.
and then they attach their terms and conditions. They do have a wildlife habitat scientist. They have a few more
Specialists?
specialists, yeah. So you can look this over if you
Yeah,
want.
I mean, I was happy with both proposals.
Yeah,
were-
Bob Gray was
were
right
excellent.
on
Yeah.
with his analysis. I'm just sorry we didn't get to see the flags. I never got any notification on
And how
that.
many did you reach out to?
I reached out to 5. One I had to actually turn away because he was hesitant about looking at certain things, so, and he was from Worcester, and I'm like, well, maybe we'll use you for something in the future, and I didn't hear back from the 2 others, even though I had emailed them twice, and they were interested, so, and I told them I needed them before tonight, so. That's it.
So the question is, do we give LEC a try, just since we're, or do we want to go
Well,
back to
I know-
Sebastian? He did a good job.
He did, but I don't know, Gene did, well, you haven't seen it in the emails. I know Sebastian, he's selling,
Yeah, Bob is going to be selling his business, but he will be staying on as a consultant for the business.
so it might be good to give somebody else a try that we can use in the future.
Right,
And
I mean, because the future plan for conservation down the line is to have a rotating list of people that we can use for
That
this
would make
type of
sense.
situation.
And knowing that 0 Summit Street is going to have a phase 2 to it,
Yes,
that it probably would be smart to, you know, if we know he's gonna sell it, we might not be able to get him right away.
Right.
For the second piece, so maybe we should give them a try, I don't know.
I would be in favor of that because I think LEC, where they have the additional support staff and specialists in the area, and their pricing is the same as Bob Gray. Did anybody have a chance to read the Bob Gray's report?
Yep.
He's very, very thorough. He's extremely thorough.
Well, he's staying on for another year, right? So
He is, as
Yeah.
a consultant, but it
Yeah.
won't be his company.
we can request him if we use
We could
that company.
request him, you know, that would be something.
Well, does somebody want to make a motion for who we're going to use for peer review for 0 Summer Street?
I'll make a motion that we use LEC.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Aye.
I have another comment on 0 Summer Street. I reached out to Andy Burbine to double check about the stormwater because planning's not involved in it. And he said that their consultant is actually going to do the zoning,
Stormwater? Okay.
So that's good. So we should be able to get the plans and get that information from them when we moved into the next phase.
Oh, and
Because-
that's good because I think LEC has, that's an area that they do as well.
Right, and in particular because this lies in the Zone 2 aquifer for Myers Well, there's a number of additional things that the stormwater calcs have to have in them, so I reminded Andy of that too. But that was good, it was good news because we
I
won't
think
have
that's something I
to
forwarded
find somebody.
earlier. All right, next on the agenda, new business, finally.
Do we have to go back to, are we going to do the orders of conditions?
We'll do that. Let's
Oh, okay.
go get...
Kelly's still here.
So next on the agenda, notice of intent filed by Abington DPW/Beaverbrook Playground Committee for rehabilitation of Beaverbrook Playground located at 1 Ralph G. Hamlin Lane. Thank you.
You guys all have been notified.
We do.
Thank you.
There's no file number for it?
No, not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Thank you.
Kelly, you should receive those when you get it.
Thank you.
Who's that?
I hope my son didn't steal my plan.
I don't know if somebody is familiar with this project, but a few years ago, we came to the CPA board and applied to renovate the playground at 101 over behind the rodeo. And we've been working on it for about 2 or 3 years now, and all of a sudden it's kind of happening.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so now after about a 3-year process, this playground's actually about to go in. So as you can see, the first page is the construction schedule, and it's happening a lot faster than we had anticipated, which is why I think it's all of a sudden you're hearing about it now. So this would be about a 4-week long project where the first 2 weeks would be the removal of the wooden playground that's there. That material would be removed by the company. It's being done by Childscapes or Burke, depending, it's the same company. And they will store the material at the DPW lot on Central Street for the time being. We're hoping in the new fiscal year with the additional CPA funds, that additional money will go to removing that by, yes, a proper disposal of it. Then the next 2 weeks will be the construction phase. It actually goes up pretty quickly. If you look at pages 2 and 3, you can see what it looks like. It's about half the size of the one that's there now. And it will all be metal, plastic material. With that, though, it's, of course, right along the river. This playground, because it's about half the size, will be moved out anywhere from 50 to 80 feet away from the water. That's for a couple reasons. One is because we just have the space to do it, and they wanted access behind the playground for emergency vehicles if it's ever needed. And, you know, there's, with more accidents with kids and water, they just wanted to push it out a little further. So if you're looking at this page here, this smallest section would be, if you're walking down the path as you enter, this is the first one you'd come to, and then this is along the back near the pump station. So
Runs parallel to the river.
right, yep, and the shortest part of the fence is 16 feet away from the water as it is. This would be the closest, of course, to the water because it's the biggest section. And this would be moved out 50 feet away from the existing fence, which at that point would be 23 feet away from the water right here. So we are still waiting. There are some maps that they have had just from when they did the survey of Memorial Field. And it shows some wetlands and basic aerial views. But as far as everything else, we are waiting. We've been working with Garvey to get an actual survey of just the playground there. It's hard to get an aerial view because it's tucked back into that tree line so much. Yeah, that it really has to be done kind of as its own survey.
So if this falls in the riverfront, there's a river there, as we all know, we've got it, the playground. But since it is an existing structure, it was built before the Riverfront Protection Act was actually enacted. So what they're proposing, when you see the plan, great, but they're going to move the playground actually away from the wetland. And I walked out there, I haven't been out there in years. And where the fence is, if you walk back there, the line of fence is really where the vegetation stops for the river. So, you know, there is no bordering vegetated wetland from the existing fence, and it's all grass or playground. So they're not, I would say the wetland line that we should call for DPW would be the fence, rather than have them go flag it. It's gonna cost us money, you know, that it's there. But the riverfront should show, probably on the plans, the 100-foot and the 100-foot from the entire line. All should be able to figure it out for you.
All right.
But because it's a redevelopment and it's actually less, I think it's well within our purview to consider. I don't think there's any real issues.
And the property that's cleared there, all that land, nothing besides that in this phase will be cleared. There's no other further like plants or vegetation on the other end that needs to be cleared. It's just smaller.
So as a mom of a kid who loves going there, I have questions that are probably not conservation related. The trees are going to stay?
Any trees that are up right now will be staying.
Perfect.
So I know it's kind of hard when you look at this map. It looks
Yes,
like
it doesn't look
everything
like-
is just
Yeah.
wiped out. That's just for the design aspect of it. But any of the trees that are there right now, these structures are actually worked around those trees.
And then the current fencing there, is that going to stay the same, or is that going to be
That was
improved?
replaced with CPA funds not too long ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So that's relatively new. So that will stay. If anything, there is a possibility for future phases. And what we may do is if there is an extension, we'll put a fence just around the youngest section, like the toddler area. But for the most part, for right now at least, that existing fence is what's going to be there.
Okay. Because that's one thing that, you know, parents who've been there, or even kids who've been there, you know how easy it is to hide, and you're looking for your kid, and then all of a sudden you see they went around the fence, and they're hanging out right by the river, which is fun if you're with them,
Right.
but if you don't see it. So I was just wondering if there's any changes to the fence. in
Not
terms
as of right
safety.
now.
I was one of the kids that found a way around the fence when when
Yeah.
it was first built.
My son's learning to climb fences at Beaverbrook, and yeah.
But it will be helpful if it's moved out
Yes.
away
yes,
from it. So
yes.
hopefully and it's much more open. You know, there's not as many places. We tried to replicate the nature scene, but it's not the same. It's not going to be the same playground, but there's not going to be as many places to hide, so. hopefully that will help.
Which is good in one hand.
Yeah.
So not a conservation-related question, but is this is this what it's gonna look like on this cover sheet? So when I go home tonight and show my son, I can say, this is what's gonna...
Yes, for the most part. I mean, there'll be some minor changes, like where this is blue rubber will be green.
Okay.
To blend in a little bit better. We also will be at some point where the walkway is right now, we're gonna be putting in the donated bricks, hopefully, and, you know, expanding that walkway and then putting in new trees and making the landscape look a little nicer. So other than that, the structures themselves is what is gonna be there.
Can you tell us what the blue or green material is going to be on that ground area?
It will be rubber. I don't know the exact, just the playground rubber that they use. It's installed by the company. I can get you the exact name of it. All I know is that it's, you know, that squishy rubber material that they have at playgrounds. I don't know what it's exactly called though. There will also be wood chips there too, around where the blue is. In the area that is not gonna have the rubber material on it, where the cleared land is, it'll be wood chips, just so that way it's not just, because they're gonna be removing the gravel that's there right now, so they don't want it to be just dirt for the time being.
So there's wood chips and rubber?
Yes, so the wood chips will only go in areas that need to be filled temporarily until we get some landscaping in and.
Okay.
Yeah, some of it, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily gonna be removed, the wood chips. Oh, yeah, the fall safe ones. Yeah, so. Yeah, I think, so the main areas where kids would be playing, like this whole blue section, will be, none of that will be wood chips, so that way it's all, we also wanted it to be accessible. So anything under the structures will all be accessible in the rubber.
Any other questions from the board? We can't vote on it tonight because there's no DEP file number, so do you want to continue to the next meeting as well?
Yes, so that is
Go for it.
part of the question too, though. So the company was hoping to start the removal process on the 26th. Now, I can, of course, you know, see if they can push that off a day, but would it be okay? He had mentioned that sometimes towns will let them remove just surface level as long as there's no digging, starting to take pieces apart. Is that okay, or do you want me to have them push it off? It's only one day, it's not a big deal if we have to push it.
The problem is it wouldn't be one day because if we're going to approve a notice of intent, we got to write up the order, and I don't think they'd be able to start the next day, right?
And she still has a plan to give us as well.
Yeah.
We don't have a plan anymore, so we're gonna make them put a self-address in.
All right.
Maybe at the next meeting.
Yeah. So I want to make a motion to continue to April 26th?
I'll make a motion to continue well, we have to have up till our next meeting.
Yeah, I was looking for the number.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I'll return this.
Yeah, well, you can leave it there, because Rick's gonna have to talk.
All right, next on the agenda, I'm going to recuse myself, so Russ, you can take over because I'm on the Ames Knoll Master Plan Advisory Committee too.
Hi. I'm Rick Collins. I am the chair of the Ames Knoll Master Plan Committee, which you may or may not have heard of because it's been a couple of years since we've really been active. We started 2018. We met pretty regularly through to 2019. We're about to finish our report, and then a pandemic hit, and we kind of went into hibernation for a little bit. But we have been meeting again, and we're again ready to finalize our report. I'm looking forward to sharing it with the town. And
Bless you.
One of the things we did in 2019 was that we held a cleanup day at the state park. And we coincided it with Election Day for a couple of reasons. One, everybody was in town because they had a vote basically, or do something. And the second was it reinforced the idea of that day being a civic-minded day. And it gave another thing that people can do to help think about Abington and do something nice for Abington. And so we're going to be doing that again on April 30th, pending approval from the Conservation Commission, of course. What we did then is very similar to what we like to do again this year. The main thing, well, we're doing a few different things, but I guess in 2019 it was decided by the board that, was it a notice not needed? What was the official designation? Kathy, were you on the board?
I know it had to do with the vista pruning. And
Yeah.
the vista pruning was, you know, one of those things that we allow.
Yeah.
It was allowed in the, it was allowed in that meeting, if you read the meeting minutes.
Right.
Yeah. Was it just,
Well, Russ, you were, you were there.
did they have to file anything?
We didn't have to file anything. That was kind of the, yeah.
I think that's excluded, like you don't have to worry about that.
We could trim, we couldn't remove any.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't want you pulling up
Right.
stuff, but you could remove things.
Right.
You know.
So we're here for that same type of request. And the scope of work involves, I'll start from the main entrance. Main entrance is picking up trash, picking up dead branches, planting some flowers, sprucing it up, making sure it looks nice. Go through the edges of the parking lot and pulling out all the deadfall because it's been a really rough year up there for things falling. Making our way down towards the water's edge, there's a couple of main pathways, making sure, again, those pathways are clear, pulling out branches, putting them into piles so DCR can take them out, picking up trash if there's any trash. And then as we get down to the waterfront, what we did a couple of years ago was we cut down, or hacked down really, all of the undergrowth along the shoreline, basically from the walking path down to the water line. We cut back all of that. And again, the request was we don't yank it out, we just cut it down near the roots so we're not disturbing the soil or anything. And for the first year, DCR actually liked it. The ranger said it actually helped them see around to the far side of the pond, which they couldn't do because it had grown up so high. It was becoming a safety hazard. It's not quite to that extent now, but it's not looking great. It's preventing access to the water for fishermen. So we'd like to do the same thing, which is cut it down really low near the ground, and then hopefully again get DCR to mow it once a year so that it stays down low. That would be the shoreline side, basically over to, anyone who's familiar knows is a little area where fishermen can stand. It's by point W01. It's a little open space. There was a memorial to a fisherman over there that's kind of tipped over. Basically, it's from there to the dock is where we do a lot of the work. On the back side of the berm, a lot of those trees and bushes are starting to become overgrown and starting to impede access to the walking trails. So we'd like to hack those back a little bit so that people, again, can walk on the trails, not having to lean over because there's now branches hanging down over them. The other part is in the dam spillway, we have large bushes, and you can ask Paul because he was in there with the hip waders a couple of years ago. Large bushes growing up, blocking some of the features that are in there, as well as if you go down and look, they start to pull them out, they start to tip over. So we want to again cut those back. We wouldn't yank them out. We would just cut them back down to the roots and do some maintenance. Just clean the area up because right now it just looks like it's abandoned. And so we're trying to make it look a little nicer. And then if we have time and enough volunteers, which we probably won't, but just in case, there are some trails that lead from the area where there are the grills, start to head up north along the shoreline. Some of those pathways are getting very narrow from being overgrown. So the idea is to start to cut them back a bit so that a person can at least walk through them without getting their clothes snagged by briars. Maybe someone can walk side by side with somebody else and start to do some trail maintenance. And we'll have lots of other requests later down the line about trail maintenance. But that's the start of what we'd like to do. Oh, the other big ask is anyone who's been down there knows there are a couple of benches where They were put there, 40 years ago. And they had a great view over Cleveland Pond. And unfortunately, over time, all the trees and brush have grown up over in front of them, and if you sit there, you can no longer see the pond. Yeah. So there's a couple different spots. One of the spots you're looking at, they're not fully mature pine trees, but they're at least 6 inches thick in diameter. I hate to say the words cut down trees, but the bench no longer serves a purpose if it's looking directly into pine trees. I wouldn't mind guidance on the best way to do this. I mean, maybe it is at this point, you have to just dig up the bench and move it. I don't know, but there's another one where it's not trees in front of it, but there's a lot of brush that has grown up. We'd want to cut that back, so again, so we can at least see the water, because right now you can't. So that's kind of the scope of the work. Wouldn't go above and beyond it. We're not going to bring down gas equipment, so there's nothing leaking into the water. It's all hand.
We tried these guys with
Yeah. We're not bringing chainsaws. We're not bringing any of that. It's all hand tools. Obviously, if it's a cleanup, we're not leaving trash behind because we're taking the trash out with us. But those are that's the scope of the work. I don't know if there's any questions about what we're looking to do. Long-term, short-term.
I think it's excellent. It's nice to get that fixed. And as far as the benches, certainly the ones with bushes, you can fix them. The trees, you might need to do like a request for determination or this or something if you want to yank them out. I think you probably would say yes, but I think you might just want to do a quick request for determination.
Or is there another spot? I mean, there's other spots where it could go?
Not really.
Not really.
The benches, no. The benches were put there because back before everything grew up, you had a perfect spot for a beautiful view of the pond.
What the view was 10 years ago.
And more long.
Yeah,
probably
longer than that.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just DCR has very little money and they're not spending it in Abington.
Correct.
And same thing with the boardwalk. The boardwalk going towards the high tension wires, that's probably 25 years old. Same thing, it used to have a beautiful view of the pond.
It's all overgrown.
Now it's all overgrown, so you're just looking at an overgrowth.
Do we have any Eagle Scouts available for this project?
They've done.
I know they've done a lot.
Yeah. So Chris Schultz, who's one of the Scout Masters, is on the committee. And we're very respectful of their time because they have so many other projects that they're working on. Sometimes they feel like they're the free labor of the town. So we're very cautious about what we ask, but we'd like to have them involved in some way because it's obviously right up their alley when you have this gorgeous state park in their backyard. Boy Scouts used to camp up there. They haven't in 40 years, but they used to. That's kind of on the long-term plan is to what we can do to start to restore some of those features from 40 years ago. But the first step is to just start to make it walkable because the more overgrown it gets, the less people are going to want to hang out there and things go downhill fast. So this is the first part of a much larger plan that we're doing. We're also requesting that they address some safety issues. For instance, there's still deadfall they haven't cleared around some pedestrian areas. The gate has fallen over now, and they just have like a bicycle gate in front of it to stop people. I mean, the erosion spot by the lakeside where someone fell and got hurt, and they haven't fixed it. And, well, erosion into a pond, that might be an issue that has other issues too. So we're going to be talking to them about some of these other safety issues, but for the cleanup day, this is kind of where our focus is for right now.
Is this something you guys want to do every year? It sounds like, personally, I think it's a good idea, because then we don't have a moral quandary 10 years from now about another set of trees in front of a different bench. Like shrubs, it's like, trim down or whatever, but.
So this is the first step. The long-term plan is to have a Friends of Ames Knoll group that can then coordinate semi-regular cleanups, so they'll kind of stay on top of these things because DCR isn't going to. Plus, it also helps people who enjoy the park feel like they have an ownership stake in it, as people know. So they become stewards of the park, and that leads to good things. But if there are any other concerns, we're more than happy to heed, to hear what you have to say.
We applaud your efforts. It sounds like it's well needed.
Yeah.
And we'd invite all of you to come join us too.
What time?
What's the date?
I was gonna say, what's the date
April
for
thir-
the viewers?
April 30th, 10 to
Same as
12.
the election.
Election day.
Yep, 2 hours. It lasts for 2 hours of your time.
Wow.
Last time, we had, I think, almost 60 people at one point. We had an amazing turnout. So we're hoping we can do it again, and just keep it going.
You send them off to designated areas with a guide or something?
Yep.
Is this appropriate for kids to
Yes,
do?
very.
Okay.
Yep.
Bring your own equipment?
Ideally, I mean, last time DCR provided some rakes and some gloves and some things, but they've been more incommunicado lately. So we're hopefully that they'll be a nice presence again, but in case they're not, people should bring their own things.
What's their staffing level up there? Are they up there every day? Or?
No. In the summertime, I think they try to have a daily presence, which is a way of saying someone stops by to, open the gates, unlock the gates, and poke around. And it's a satellite branch out of Wampatuck, so it's kind of when a ranger from Wampatuck wants to come over, that's what they do. There's a whole history behind that, but it's kind of I don't want to say the terms. It's just not well thought of. So we're trying to change that. So right now, if you go there, there's rarely anybody there. In the summertime, there'll be usually someone there during the daytime, but not as much as there should be.
Yesterday was,
Yeah.
the front fire hall was full.
I read a news article doing some research, and at one time in the late 90s, there were 2 full-time rangers in the summertime and 17 part-time rangers. And they did, interpretations and tours and all sorts of stuff. So, I mean, now they barely have 1 full-time person in the summertime. It's unfortunate.
It's a beautiful piece of property.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it really
it
is. I wouldn't now, but
Well, it's because of the water, they treated it, I think, back in July last year, and we extended that for 3 years.
Okay.
They came for the board. Were you on the board for that, or?
I listened to it, they were,
You applied for the original one, but they came from, Karen and Joy was on the board.
yeah,
for
no,
that.
I listened to it on TV, the gentleman was quite
Yeah.
interesting, because they're gonna do the same thing out on the
Yeah.
road. So, but I thought it needed more than one treatment, for sure.
No, I mean, if you've seen it over the past 5, 6 years, I'm not gonna say swim in it, but I've heard that you can now. I've heard that it's swimmable again. I'm not gonna tell you to go out there and do it, I don't wanna take that liability, but
Yeah.
it definitely looks cleaner.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Does anybody come in and actually monitor the water quality at all?
I don't think so.
that's one of
That was
the
one of our,
short to medium-term goals, is to start doing some water quality monitoring, find out if there are any inflows that need to be addressed. With the town being sewered, it's not so much a septic issue anymore. It might be a fertilizer runoff issue.
Yeah.
And, as we know, there's a lot of protected land that flows into it, a lot of protected waters. So if there's a contamination issue, we should know about it. But it's probably less than what it was, pre-sewering.
Okay.
It's my
So that was the
understanding.
big issue, was
It was one of
because
the
of
issues,
sewerage?
yeah.
It wasn't like other chemicals going in the water? Oh,
I mean,
okay.
who knows, but
Okay.
I don't think there's been any real heavy industrial uses upstream for a century
Okay.
since the mill's closed. So it's mainly from houses.
Okay.
So you might have some fertilizer now.
the viewers are making it come back.
Beavers are making
Yeah.
things difficult.
It's nice.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We'll be sending out a notice to let people know about it, and hope to see some of you there. I assume this is also, okay. Didn't know.
We don't have to vote or anything?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
No, I know,
But I really appreciate you actually letting us know.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot easier if we're all on the same page. So
Okay.
thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna say the other.
Excuse me.
Nope. Discussion on open certificate of compliance. I know we touched on this at the last meeting, but Tim's the one that raised the issue about, what, a month ago?
Yeah, I would
He
say.
wasn't here at the
I remember
last-
we had talked about it a few months back, and then we had some other things come up, so. just
Yeah,
kinda
so I wanted to
get it
wait for
back
you to
out
be
there.
here since you weren't at the last meeting to bring up your concerns.
I just, with talking with you and seeing how many open certificates there is in town and how old they are, I think we should probably, bring these people in and see what the deal is, why, can we get an extension filed from them, what's holding it up?
You're gonna get a lot of them too, that from Russ Wheatley, when he died, everything that was in his office went into a dumpster.
Right.
So there's no records anymore, unless we
Right.
have a copy.
Oh.
So there's no way to do as is and all that stuff. So the hard part on that.
Right.
Can I do a suggestion?
Mhm.
I know I have like no value here, but I would suggest drafting a form and then having it mailed out. And then if that doesn't work, I consider fees. If people aren't following up within their timely period of 3 years or whatever time limit it is, fee them, like give them a fee, throw it out. So then they have to come back.
Well, could we, say you have a order of conditions that expired in 2015. Could you penalize them for every year that they would have had to file a extension?
I don't know if we'd be able to backdate it. I think it would go from when we,
Or is that something we can do?
yeah.
Because half these homeowners don't even know it.
Right.
So I would send out the notice first, and if they don't follow up within a couple months, I'd say 2 to 3 months max, then I'd reach out and deal with that type of.
Yeah, 'cause I don't,
I say give them 3 months.
Give them 60 days to respond. If they don't, then they should
Yeah.
incur a fine. The fine should not be reversed. We have a tendency to do that at the town hall, is when they issue, or someone should be fined on a regular basis for whatever violations. We seem to get forgiven.
We have a bylaw that actually lets us actually do like a ticket, the Board of Health does it. I was on the bylaw committee and I put it in. So, but it really, the intent is that, you can write basically a ticket. That's the way I think of it. And we can start at a low dollar amount and you can decide how, is it once a week or whatever. But they do have the opportunity to appeal it to the town manager and he has a hearing. So he can waive it, but they have to have circumstances why.
Right. But I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, if they have a legitimate reason, that's absolutely
Right, but that's-
understandable, but.
We can pull out the bylaw and use it. We could probably reference it in the letter that you're going to send.
I'm just a generating income kind of person.
Yeah, well, no, more it's just, really the intent, and I think there's even you get a warning and then you get a ticket after that. So you don't get the fine even if you're after the 60 days, you get the warning and then you get the fine later.
Yeah.
Really, our intent is not to fine people, but just to get them in compliance.
we want to just get everything closed out.
I just want them to close it out, because in the end, it becomes a big deal, because they come to us and they're in a panic.
Right.
And sometimes it's the owner
It's
is
a
not
real
the person
estate
that filed it.
transaction.
Right.
But if they need it because they're selling their house and they need it yesterday, and we're all looking at them like, your emergency is not mine.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So it would be
There is
really
a lot of them though, right?
There's a ton of them.
Yeah.
Well, her spreadsheet's a lot better than mine.
How many, did you have any spreadsheets?
How far back are we going?
I only went back to 2018, so ones that would have expired in 2021, and it was like half of them.
And I think as you go back further, it's worse.
6 filings
How much?
706?
from
Oh,
These-
my.
1973 now.
Oh, 1973.
To now.
They have to give engineering plans with the as-built.
Wait, that's
You take it past the-
that's that are open or that have just been filed?
Just have been filed in general.
Okay,
but
so
it's all
that's-
very-
Sold or get a mortgage, and all of a sudden.
Gone to a bank and bank passed it,
Yeah.
the homeowners should
Yeah.
move on.
Plus, we should close out some of these
That
sites.
doesn't have.
Or if they're not closed, why
And
not?
my list isn't.
What?
Mine is
Pass it down.
Sorry, we're taking it from you.
Well, we gotta discuss how much, we gotta charge for that too?
Well, that'll be
That's
at our next
that's in the
meeting.
bylaw. Oh, you,
Oh,
oh.
no, I thought he was talking about the filing fees.
Oh, okay, filing
But,
fees.
yeah,
No,
so,
the
Tony,
fee.
what'd you say, it was $20 a month?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought that's what you said,
I
okay.
said that we should do $20.
Oh,
So
okay.
is Tony gonna do the spreadsheet for the filing fees?
No one
Spreadsheet's
sent me
right here.
any information.
I gave all my town information over
To
to you,
me.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I thought it was emailed to her too.
No,
Just copy me on everything.
No, I have the hard copies of it.
I gave him all my
Yeah.
hard copy.
And I gave him mine too. So can you get those to Tony?
Yeah.
Please.
One,
And I called him today, earlier, and followed up with him about a lot of things. He followed up with me a lot of things. It's good.
one thing I was thinking of, because once we send this letter out, I'm sure we're gonna get a deluge of, we wanna close out this order of conditions. Do you think we should put together like a small subcommittee, like 2 voting members and an associate that can go out and check to make sure they're in compliance? That way they can just come in, we can hear whoever goes out to look at it, take their recommendation and vote on it and be done.
Stagger them, so we're only looking at it.
Yeah, we can't have
No.
20, yeah.
But the letter we send should tell them what they need to do to file the
Yeah,
certificate of
and
compliance.
then, once we get, say, I mean, I don't know how many we would want to do in one meeting. What do you think, like 3 maybe, a meeting?
Yeah, at most. And I think our load will get less after we get through
Oh,
this
yeah.
pile of stuff, so it won't be
But-
as bad.
But if say we get 4 or 5 that want to come in one month, Tony's going to say, after the 3rd one, you'll be on the next agenda. We won't fine you or anything like that, but you're on the next agenda. Because if they're making the effort, we don't want to
Yeah.
penalize them.
Sure. Who's going to draft the letter? Are you going to do that?
I
or-
can do it.
Okay, cool.
Crazy.
Oh, I know. I don't
Oh,
even need to look at
my.
it.
So, but we can talk about how much we would charge, right, for this today? I heard $20. I think Alex was.
Can we do that, or do we have to?
I think the bylaw actually has,
Guidelines?
has actual amounts.
The actual amount.
We'll look at that, then if we have to,
and
at
then
the
we can
next
decide
meeting,
what
we
we
can
want. And-
decide, yeah.
Yeah, and we can't really talk about
Right.
any of the fees because it's not on the agenda.
Right.
Well,
Oh.
we can lump it
Well-
in with when we talk about the filing fees too.
Yeah,
Are
exactly.
we able to modify those fees?
Oh, yeah,
Well, that's what we're gonna,
Okay.
that's what we're gonna do at the next meeting.
yeah. But we have all these other towns that we've gotten
Yeah,
data
to-
from,
the 20,
and they're all
right.
charging a lot more from the local side. So we're gonna,
No, I think maybe I'm following differently. The fees that are actually in the town charter.
there's
Can
nothing in
we-
the town chart.
Oh, the actual
fees-
value number.
Oh, I think we can do something with them. We'll have to pull the bylaw just to see what it says.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
Okay, I got you.
Okay.
And I'll look for that.
okay,
I'll send it to Tony and she can send it out.
okay.
But do we wanna make like a small committee to look at these? Does anybody wanna volunteer for it, or?
I'll volunteer.
I'll volunteer for that.
If Lynn's gonna go, I'll go.
These two just nominated themselves, so there you go.
Well, we need one more. We have 2
Well,
voting members.
Well, that's my suggestion. I mean, you guys can,
We can have more, well, no more than 3. We can have 3 voting and an associate.
for it. I got
and-
plenty to do.
Alex, go ahead.
We can still have 3,
Yeah, you
right?
do it.
3 wouldn't be a,
Alex, Lynn, and
I'll
Kathy.
join in.
And we can have 3 voting and an associate if we want, or we can have 2 voting and an
I mean,
associate.
anybody can go out. It's just I don't want everybody to go at the same time. We're in a open meeting violation.
Yeah, yeah. Because if Tim, you really want to do it,
I'm just available, so that's,
right?
Yeah.
I'm always around,
Why
so.
don't you do 3 and me, and that way if somebody can't go, it's not
Yeah.
too big of
Yeah,
a deal.
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very good idea.
3 and then if someone can't go.
Yeah, yeah,
That's fine.
Like I said, I mean, anybody can go. They just
sure.
can't go when the other 3 voting members are going.
Yeah, we'll probably want to go together, so that
Yeah.
Yeah,
kind of depends. If it's a house lot that's easily seen, we might not, but some of these are a little more complicated.
All right. Next on the agenda is building permits and site visits. Oh, just for me to sign? Okay. Sign it after. I'll sign it after the meeting. Site visits, now that the weather's getting better and the days are getting longer, do we want to set up specific times to do site visits? Like in the afternoon, that way
Yeah.
it gives people more of an
I
opportunity
was
to get
really
out and see.
dismayed by what happened this week, having our subcontractor out there by himself on Mr. Montgomery's property. We should have just, unfortunately, I think it was out of our control, but we should have probably just rescheduled till at least one of us could be there and know about it. Mr. Montgomery wouldn't allow anybody on because he couldn't be there. So it was a little awkward, but it bothers me when we have a consultant out there that's our subcontractor, because I don't do that with my subs at work, because there's a lot of liability associated with having, the town has liability. So I was pretty frustrated, because I could have gone that day, but I couldn't go on. I'm sure Mr. Sebastian, that's what we call him. Mr. Gray did a great job. But, and I wasn't, wasn't that worried, but as we start to use different contractors, we're not gonna know. So, but I also think that it would be nice if we could do our site visits together in the evening, early evening or a Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, that's what I prefer.
So if we're gonna do them during the week, what time works better for everybody?
Preferably like after 5, I would say,
Yeah.
during the week.
Dusk.
Dusk.
Not really dusk, is it? I mean, my kid's out running around till 7 and it's still light out.
You have to bring your own headlamp.
We'll see a lot more critters that way.
So what do you wanna say, from 5 PM to 7 PM? At least from now until September, and then we can discuss it again in September, what we wanna do going forward from there.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So whenever, if you wanna do it, that's when you gotta schedule it. Does it matter what day, as long as it's,
Not on a
obviously,
Tuesday at
yes, we should
6:30.
stay away from Tuesdays. Yeah.
Yeah. Just kidding.
And then same thing, if you can't make the meeting, we can always email the applicant if you wanna go out and see the property at your own time.
Mhm.
Oh, 20 Mount Laurel, they want to come before us, I think at the next meeting. They'd like to schedule a site visit for Friday at 5 o'clock this week, because they want to put in, like, a fence and possibly a patio. And
Is
they
that,
want to,
is that the one on the corner?
yes,
The one that Tim had
yes.
gone to, yeah.
So they want to just get feedback from the board before they come before us.
20 Mount Laurel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It's on the corner of Dale and Mountain Laurel and,
yes,
right? So,
yes. So we can, Friday works, right? Friday at 5? Okay. Yeah, so it'll either be Friday or Monday then? Tuesday, next week. If we can't do it Friday, even though we just said no meetings on Tuesday.
Tuesday would be better.
When are we gonna find out for that? You gotta,
Tony will let us know. All right, did everybody get a chance to look at the meeting minutes for February 22nd?
No.
just gonna hold this up, so it's out of your way. Can't put my junk in. Got stuff everywhere.
Just one thing on the minute of the meeting. I know the proposed start time of the project for Mr. Nicoli. He said next April 2023, and I asked for it to be pushed off for a later date because of the breeding season for the ducks and the swans and the geese and the rest of the amphibians that live up in that area. And he said he could push it off, but he needed X amount of time. think he needed 3 months to complete it, so I think I said August. That's the end of the season for the wildlife at the bridge crossing, because there seems to be a lot of geese and everything that hang out there. Those swans.
The swans.
So you wanted to change the meeting notes?
Just to say August, not April, because I know when he said April, I said, yeah, that's not a good thing.
So just April to August, it's easy.
Yeah. By then, they've already had their chicks and they're ready to go.
Any other questions on the meeting minutes for the 22nd? Somebody want to make a motion on the amended meeting minutes that just show April of 2023 being changed to August of 2023 for SE S084-0554?
I'll make that motion.
We have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That's not correspondence, right? That's just the, okay. Now, I'm gonna do the order of conditions, huh? Oh, we do have two correspondence, okay. All right, so huh? No, they're two different dates. So I get two letters from zoning board.
So usually those, is it the notice of meetings, like what they're going to have hearings on?
Yes.
So we used to talk about which ones they were, or somebody would look at them and come back and tell us, you know, whether there's anything that's a wetland-related site. That's why they send them to us. They want to know if they fall in the wetlands and floodplain district from zoning, but that doesn't mean there's actually wetlands there.
Yep.
It just is a trigger to ask us and maybe send them to maybe come here. Some of it might be obvious, like 0 Summer Street.
I'm looking at one that's obvious right here. I'm looking at one that's obvious right here.
Yeah. I'd be happy to look them up if there's anything that should be
There's
looked up.
two that are before our board right now.
Oh, great.
All right. All right. Back to old business. SE084-0554, issue the order of conditions for Central Street Bridge, filed by Abington DPW.
I had a question. Did they submit the second form that,
Did he send it to you yet, or, he said either today or tomorrow it'd be coming in.
okay, so I would say that we shouldn't approve it till the form's in. And what happened was the notice of intent were ecological restoration limited projects, which is what they say they are, had a second form. It's actually in the notice of intent that they tell you to fill out this appendix 3 something. And so I caught it and sent it to Paul, and Paul sent it to the town. But we should have the form before we approve it. You guys should have a chance to look at it. But we could probably draft up the order of conditions tonight if you
We
wanted to.
should, because,
That way,
Yeah,
and maybe
yeah.
pending us getting that form,
Yeah.
perhaps at the next meeting, we could approve it. But I just, it's gonna get bounced to DEP, I think, if, because they'll review it again. They should have the form in there when somebody tries to upload it.
Yep.
21 days.
yeah.
It's 21 days exactly today.
Yeah.
It should have been filed with the registry of deeds today.
I'm sorry, Tony, what did you say?
After you do the order conditions, we have to send it out to the applicant and the other party, so the DPW will pick it up and then have to take it to the registry of deeds. No, that's why.
Okay, thanks.
Ignoring.
Yeah, once we approve it and issue the orders and conditions, they work at risk for, I think what they're trying to say, they work at risk until that, once we approve it, and they know the orders and conditions are getting typed up, they can work at risk. That's what I think she's trying to say. Right?
If we approve the order of conditions tonight, we just need that, they have 21 days to get us that form, because we have to get it out
So you.
for 21 days.
Once from the day you approve, and from the day you approve, if it's not given to them within the 21 days, there doesn't have to be more information. They can fight you basically.
Right,
Yeah. But we haven't approved it, so.
right.
And I think if we can put the orders and conditions together, they can get it typed up, and then we can approve it at the next meeting. And that way, the town will get their information as fast as we can do it. It's just gotta have a form. Because we're not approving it until next meeting, right? Am I like missing something?
You already approved the bridge.
You already approved it.
Oh,
Yeah.
you
We
approved
approved
it?
it last meeting.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we're
geez,
past-
I missed that.
We're past
Sorry.
the 19 days now. We're supposed to have it done.
We're at 21 today.
Yeah, it's supposed to be done in 19.
And they're sending that form though? They sent that form that we need?
Yeah, I talked to Jack and I did not, John, and John said it's fine, because I talked to him, so I knew we were not going to have some, so I just suggest making it, but.
Yeah.
Sure.
Where's that list that you gave me, Kathy?
Oh, boy.
So what I did was,
Huh?
we still probably want to go through the standard order, but I went into the regulations, and under ecological restoration limited project, were 1 to 19 on my list of conditions that were actually written into the regulation. So I think we should just add them as supplemental, even if they are sort of a duplicate of what it's in our standard order. But then the last ones on the list are basically items from the form, because I didn't think we had gotten the submittals from the form, so I figured it was a way to make sure that we got the submittals that the form asked for, that were missing. So those last ones are basically right off that Appendix 3A Notice of Intent form for this type of project. So I tried to make it simpler so that everybody didn't have to dig it out.
Sure.
So you want to go through just the regular order conditions
Sure.
first, then we'll circle back to that?
Sure. Do you want me to do it, Paul?
Huh?
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, because I left my,
Oh, no worries. Okay,
no, I already wrote one up.
so section A, olive A, we should adopt. And how far away do we want the siltation barrier to place from the limit of work?
25 feet?
That doesn't make sense with this one, because
It doesn't.
it's right there.
Yeah.
They're gonna be floating
Normally, I would
too.
say
In the water.
25 feet,
Yeah, they're
or,
yeah.
you know, something bigger, but it's almost like 10 feet?
No.
No,
Not
no.
even.
I don't think you can.
Zero, I don't
Yeah,
know.
well,
I'm thinking it's
You almost
zero.
need zero.
It's probably
feet.
zero, yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
zero, and I don't think, I'm not an advocate of zero usually, but
I
this
put,
one,
I
I
put,
can't even
I put
imagine.
.5 in mine.
well, because it's right there.
Yeah,
I don't think you can do anything.
Okay,
put zero,
Okay.
just put zero.
zero.
Yeah.
So, let's see, B1, B2. B6. There's actually no 100-year floodplain there, which was interesting, which I thought was very strange.
So we don't need C?
We don't need C1. I think we still, there's still the storm, so I think we need C2.
and I don't think we need the others.
Only C2.
I don't think we're gonna need a water quality program. There isn't any wetland replication, so we skip E. I'm sorry. I'm so loud. I can't believe you can't hear me.
Maybe you're bent over.
Maybe I'm too bent down
Yeah.
and talking to the paper. So I said no E,
No E.
no E.
Right.
I'm trying to get to F
No
here.
wetlands replication.
No F. We definitely want G. All G. Where do we want the debris and fill stored? Did they say where they were going to store it? How far away?
Well, I think at the, across the street of the town. Town
Oh, so we can say 20, we can say 25 feet then
Yeah.
there. Okay, that's perfect, 25 feet. So all of G and where the empty spaces in G5, we want 25 feet. Okay, okay. Stop me if you can't hear me. Okay, we're on H. It's not a subdivision. So H2. H4. H5. H6. H7.
All of these. Slow down.
No, I'm not H1 and not H3.
Huh?
No, I just was talking to her.
And then all
No.
of H6, like A,
H6, you
B,
got-
C, D, E, and G.
No, but that's I, right?
No, H6.
H6? Oh, all of H6, yeah. I gotcha. Okay. And H7, H8, and H9.
All of H7.
Yeah, all of H7. I1, I2, we want A, B, A and B.
Yeah, there's no C, no D.
No. I don't
What
think
about
we need.
E?
What?
E?
E. Let's see. We're not putting in drainage or detention structures.
The road width, it's, oh, okay, I see. I saw the road thing.
Yeah, I
and
know, I
thought
understand.
bridge.
I don't think we need these J's. What I would suggest is what I provided on that types as special conditions. 1 to, how many? I gave my copy away.
Oh, my God, it's supposed to be 25.
1 to 25. I would suggest those for special conditions.
Excuse me.
I'll send that to you digitally, yes. I'll send it to you probably tomorrow morning.
Item 12 on the special orders.
Yeah.
What are we calling reasonable hours? I know this is,
In town, according to the Board of Health, it's 7 to 7.
7 to 7?
I think it's 7 to 7, but I think 7 to 5 seems
I
reasonable.
mean, it's town property, so really,
Yeah, they're going to get lots of calls if it's causing them problems.
Yeah.
The main entrance,
Yeah.
DPW, fire, police, all that.
I think they're just talking about not working at 2 o'clock in the morning, making a ton of noise.
no, that's for us if we want to go out and
Yeah, we don't want to go out
inspect,
at
yeah.
2 o'clock in the morning and look at it.
Well, if we're going out at 2 o'clock in the morning, there may be a
We've been
reason why
drinking.
we have to go because something,
Yeah.
something broke. All right, somebody want to make a motion to approve order of conditions for, where is it? For the special orders, yes.
Oh, I had one more special condition. That the form is submitted and approved before the start of work. That form,
Oh,
so make that condition number 26 on the special conditions. That form, wetland,
on the special orders,
Yeah,
Number 26 would be.
yeah. I'll send you the name of it. It's appendix, I think it's appendix 3A. So, yeah, that would be, I think that would be helpful. And that it has to be approved by the board before work starts. And that gives us control. Yeah. Okay.
All right, somebody want to make a motion to approve the order of conditions for SE 084-0554?
I'll make a motion to approve the order conditions for SC 084-0554 for the Central Street Bridge.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, do we want to do the order of conditions tonight for 154 Brockton Ave, or do we want to look over the wetland replication and stuff like that before we draw up the order?
Yeah.
You want to push it off
Yeah, it's
to
late.
2 weeks? Yep. Yep.
We had a huge agenda.
Does somebody want to make a motion to draw up the order of conditions for SE 084-0553, 154 Brockton Ave to the April 26th meeting?
Sorry. I'll make a motion to write the order of conditions for SC 084-0553 until the next meeting on April 26th.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I gotta go down the hall now.